Hi, I'm Infinite King, but you can call me IK. And today, we're going to be talking about Marathon. More specifically, the blog post that Joseph Ziegler dropped for Season 2. Now, I love Bungie games. I grew up playing Halo, then went into Destiny, and then Destiny 2. And now I've been playing Marathon. So, essentially, this video is going to be something similar to what streamers like Aztec Cross have done in the past, where he likes to do This Week at Bungie. And he would always hit us with the famous, "Another week, boys, and another twab." I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't have the sauce for that, but this video is going to essentially be something similar. We're going to go through the TWIM, This Week in Marathon, and essentially I'm going to give my perspective on it. Now, I'm not a major, huge streamer. I streamed a couple of years ago, on and off, and I want to get back into it, but I don't have the time to do it as often as other creators do. So I want to try to give that type of perspective. As we go along and as we read through the TWIM together, that's what I'm going to be doing. Just offering my perspective. So grab a snack, grab a drink, stay hydrated, and let's get into this TWIM. All right, here we go. Launch, learnings, and what's next. The short version, TLDR. There's a lot of words ahead, but here's the gist of it. With the first season of Marathon, we've created a strong core community. We're embarking on a multi-season journey built around growing from the seed of this strong community. We're looking to solve some pain points for players, making the game less grindy, more rewarding, making improvements to things like the UI, UX, matchmaking, endgame meta, playing as solos, duos, etc. Smoothing out onboarding. We're also going to build out more of the core game, adding new and fun mind-bending content, new and updated zones, runner shells, new combatants, weapons, loot, and more. Building systems to make progress more interesting. We want to build more survival experiences for different moods, like if you want a full sweat or lean back and chill. Exploring more pure PvP, PvE, and PvP light experiences. This is something I'm really excited about because I've been fiending for them to just do PvE for Marathon, especially because there's so much lore. And especially coming over from Destiny and Halo. So I'm really excited to see kind of what's happening with PvE. Continue experimenting with experimental queues to learn more about these experiences or around these experiences. Other highlights. We're bringing back duos for Season 2 with a rotating duos queue. We're testing some experiments with Season 2 around PvE and PvP light modes. We're expanding the max size of your vault, thank you, and increasing faction progress rates in Season 2. We'll talk more about Season 2 content like Night March, the new Cradle progression system, and the Runner Shell Sentinel, the week of May 25th. All right, cool. So basically, coming up after this week, or this upcoming week, if the summary has your interest piqued, read on below for more of these topics. All right. Well, your boy is ready, so let's go ahead and get on. 3 months later. If this were a recording, this is where you'd hear me press play. The synth beats with the lulling hum of a playful but elusive bass line would collide with your eardrums, and my voice would greet you with a warm and simple hello. So let's just imagine that's happening and get started. Nearly 3 months have passed since we flung you across the stars and crash landed you onto the dangerous and mysterious lost colony on Tau Ceti 4. For the development team, myself, and all the talented teams at Bungie and Sony that have been supporting us, it has been quite a wild ride. From launch to now, we've watched you tackle the challenges of Tau Ceti, learn to investigate its threats, discover new ways to engage with one another, and create unique, infinite stories of survival. And through it all, we've been watching, listening, and trying new things in an effort to learn more about you all. As we come closer to the end of our first season and the subsequent start of Season 2, we wanted to take some time to reflect on the learnings of Season 1 and how that informs our thoughts about what we want to achieve as we build future seasons. So please, Take a walk with us as we reflect a bit on Marathon. Look at the sky, man. Look, man. Look at the skybox. My goodness. Yeah, nobody does skyboxes like Bungie does. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care what nobody says. Before. Marathon's roots go back to the original trilogy of the 90s, where you, as a lone security officer, defend a colony ship above the distant planet Tau Ceti 4. Your fight for survival begins a long journey of discovery in which you learn about ancient alien races, the dangers of AI evolution, and rampancy, and the complex nature of dimensional reality, among many other themes. As we move towards bringing these ideas to life, we brought together a team to make a social survival experience, one built around a few core concepts and themes. Everything is potentially dangerous. Create an environment where everything is a hazard or threat. This includes fauna and flora indigenous to the planet, weather patterns, NPC enemies, and other players. Yeah, you know what? The flora, okay? I'm so tired of running around, and then I get past that poison plant, and then I can't, man. Don't even get me started with that. Preparing is important. Feel high value in bringing and utilizing the right resources for the problems you encounter. Every run moves you forward. Ensure every run feels like it's pushing you forward, raising the floor for your possibilities. Bigger risk, bigger reward. Create an environment where you can take on more risk of death to gain better rewards. Use your judgment. Focus on open-ended decisions. Let players tackle challenges in open-ended ways. Fight, flee, and evade based on your judgment of the scenario. Create loose alliances. Compete to gain resources for your own betterment, or wait out the battles and scavenge the field. Surviving matters. Prompt players to consider survival as the core win condition and ensure that living feels successful. Yeah, so kind of just to go over these really quick. Everything's potentially dangerous. They definitely did that. The poison plants piss me off. They're annoying as shit. Gonna be honest. But it also adds kind of that element to the map, right? It adds that feeling that you're somewhere hostile, and it's not like different places like in Destiny, for example, or like different locations where things like that don't happen. So I do like that. It does add to the feel and the ambiance of the game. Preparing is important. Yep, absolutely. Got to make sure you got your stuff. But the flip side to that is rough when you lose things, man. And I do feel this. Every run moves you forward. Even if you do have a run that's unsuccessful, you're still getting experience towards any of the factions that you're working with. So as rough as it might be to not be able to do much in a particular run, you are still making progress. So I do agree with that. All right. Building on these concepts, we constructed the game around high impact decisions, feeling the push and pull of making a game that felt too complex, confusing, and punishing versus one that felt learnable and punishing enough to keep survival as its central theme. We iterated with expanding groups of players, making shifts in our core gameplay and features as we got feedback through our tests. Yeah, they've been really, really good about feedback and staying on top of patches to make sure that things get adjusted. So I will say, and there's a huge discourse right now in the Destiny community versus Marathon, where Joseph Ziegler is consistently communicating with the player base, and that's not necessarily the case right now for Destiny. And I'll probably make a separate video speaking on that specifically. I'm not going to get into that now because the discourse is toxic, to say the least. All right. In the end, we landed on a game where we feel we had achieved a balance in which we were provoking players to learn, take risks, feel the glory of successfully surviving, and the tragedy of catastrophic failure. Yeah. Pain. All in the pursuit of creating compelling stories or of traversing the mysterious and dangerous environment on an alien planet. And then we put that game in a cannon and launched it out of the world beyond us. All right. All right, so let's take a look. What went well? Out of the gate, it was exciting to see the core community build around the tense survival experience we created. The sheer number of stories the community has shared of their moments running across the planet, battling the UESC, getting into heated fights with other runners, and yes, sometimes dying to the errant tick nest or poison plant. Yeah, fucking stupid poison plant, dumbass ticks. Were overwhelmingly inspiring. The love we've seen for the world we've created has been unimaginably exciting as well. Fan art, lore videos, video edits, and music shares have been a common staple of our internal chats. For all this and more, we are highly thankful to the community that has come to join us on this first season. You're the reason we do this, and our gratitude for all of you cannot be expressed enough. Yo, shouts to the community, you know what I'm saying? Shouts to the community that be giving constructive criticism, not just bitching just to bitch. And also shouts to all the creators, all the artists, and everybody that's been doing all these different things. Like it's dope, man. And I gotta imagine, as a developer, seeing all that type of stuff, it's gotta inspire you, right? Like, by comparison to what's, I don't know how much I'm gonna keep bringing it up, but by comparison to what's happening with like the Destiny discourse right now, seeing stuff like that has got to be inspiring, because Destiny right now is that place is in shambles, man. All right, throughout season 1, we've also been building a lot of muscle to deliver a more responsive and iterative live game to match the pace at which players have been playing. We launched Cryo Archive, our first endgame map and ranked mode. We launched our experimental queue, including experiments around duos and sponsor kit queues. We've tackled a variety of balance patches and hotfixes as we've seen problems in the live game. Yep. We've launched the mid-season carry initiative, focused on playing with and against other players in new ways. With each release, we've been learning and getting better at understanding the needs of our live game operations and upgrading where we've seen opportunities. But as many of you know, Season 1 has not been without some hiccups and challenges, so let's discuss these a bit. Yeah, let's see what they actually get into with this. I'm actually really curious about this part. All right, what we've learned. Where do we start? Developing a new game is always a challenge, I can't imagine. And creating a live game in 2026 is no simple effort. There are millions of moving parts to a game, especially a player-driven and systems-dense game such as Marathon. Let's start at a high level with some themes we've observed around the Marathon game and community. Marathon is overwhelming to learn. Yeah, it is. Marathon for new players can be an overwhelming experience. After a short tutorial, you're often thrown into the fire to learn a lot of concepts, navigate a lot of screens, filter through a ton of loot, and build muscle memory with a lot of mechanics fairly quickly in a hostile environment where other players can bring you down and take your stuff. I'm still learning map layouts. I'm still learning how to navigate things. I'm still learning muscle memory on gunfights and encounters. It's freaking rough. It's easy to hit a wall if you're not spending lots of time, don't have a consistent crew, or are not super skilled. Yeah, this is the thing, right? I only really play this with my friends. Like, I only really play this with other people, because if I'm playing solo, I'm getting clapped. And duos is still rough. Going in with a full squad is definitely helpful, but it's still really freaking rough, man. Matches can feel like a death spiral for some players. You kit up, you go in, you die to a spawn rush, or someone gets the jump on you as you're looting. Faction progress can feel like a slog, and you struggle to get mats and credits out to upgrade. You rarely get out of that loop, and the endgame of Cryo can feel so far away as you inch your way forward in the precious hours you have to play every week. And doing it solo just makes it all harder. Yep. Yeah. This, pain. Still figuring out the balance mix of the endgame. Bubbles, nade spam, and snipers can make it feel like every engagement at the end game with all the stuff everyone has accumulated is chaotic, fast, and stressful in a bad way. Taking time to make more important tactical decisions can feel like a luxury. Spawn rushing and lobby clearing are dominant strategies that pull the pacing too far and make matches too predictable. Matchmaking can be a blessing or a curse. Yeah, a lot of videos that I've been seeing lately about people spawn rushing is low-key depressing, because it's like, how am I supposed to have a chance against any of that? And again, as somebody that really only gets to play with my friends when they're able to play, it's rough, because we're not level 100 or anything. Like, we're not close. We're probably about we're in the 60s, and the season's gonna end soon. So, you know, we're going up against folks that have already been getting all this stuff, the bubbles and everything else, and it ain't easy, man. Sometimes you don't want to sweat. Yeah, gripping your precious loot every moment as you creep your way to the exfil while spinning your head around like a chicken to make sure another runner doesn't drop on top of you with a shotgun is a fun and intense experience. It can be, yeah. But after a few runs of that, sometimes you need to power down and just want to frag out or relax and play a different way. Yes. It's hard to find that chill moment in Marathon. Yep, completely agree. This is why we need PvE. As we've been learning these lessons, we've also been experimenting and observing some additional areas to help us explore avenues to improve Marathon. Sponsored marsh perimeter are helpful to create a more chill environment to play, especially if you've just been stomped or want to focus on getting some quests done over duking it out for loot. A lot of people have been playing the sponsor kit queues, and we're excited to see how it helps the overall loop of economic gain and progression. Yeah, the sponsor kit queues are really fun. It feels safe. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still be getting pissed off at the end of them if I get folded, but honestly, like, it's way better to do a sponsor kit queue than just the regular queues. Sponsor kits can be a good way to up the floor over the season and help recovery. Escalating from lower end kits to middle end kits over the season can make it easier to get back into the fight, especially for players who play less. Yep, agreed. Our matchmaking systems need different dimensions. In Season 1, they were focused on making sure players with less experience and knowledge were being kept away from those with more. This resulted in some good, which is new players being protected for longer, and some bad, which is some unfortunate small pooling happening in the later parts of the season. The result was a constant battle we fought between match quality and queue times. We need to be careful with how many queues we're running. Throughout the season, we added more queues, which inevitably split the population more and led to some increased queue times. As we go into future seasons, we want to be more judicious with how we handle the amount of queues better. Alright. We've been absorbing so much over the season thanks to feedback, research, and play data from you all. It makes our heads spin sometimes. We're dizzy with it. The learning is just the first step to improvement, so let's discuss what we're planning next. Alright. I'm sure with it. Where we want to go. When we were bringing Marathon out for players, our aspiration started with a simple statement. We want players to experience the thrill and danger of surviving on the edge of the explored universe. Our plan is to commit to that mission by both going deeper and expanding on that definition. To that end, we have two main paths that we're walking down, starting with Season 2. A better, seat-gripping experience with more mind-bending sci-fi. Aight. Okay, first and foremost, we want to continue to evolve the challenging, intense experience that our players have come to love while leaning further into the wild world we've created. We want to build on it with new content and systems that challenge you in new ways to grow, collaborate, and compete with one another in your quest to thrive in Tau Ceti's deadly environments. New zones, zone challenges, and variants, new shells, new weapons, new equipment, and loot galore. No. Making a lot of promises here. The new systems that change how you progress in the season, new contracts that add to the journey of exploration and gaining favor with the factions, and changes to parts of the game that meaningfully help you re-examine what you already know. This is a lot. This is a lot that they're trying to commit to. And realistically, like, what are you going to actually feel as a player? New zones, right? Zone changes. That'll be interesting, right? The variants like Night March that's coming up. I don't know what they mean by zone changes. I don't know if this means like an expansion of a zone, like adding a new section to a pre-existing zone, or what that means. But what are you going to feel as an actual player? Probably the new zones, the new shells, new weapons. As far as the new equipment and loot, that kind of ends up falling into something that is just part of the experience, and you don't really feel, in my opinion, as much as time goes on. In Season 2, we'll be starting that journey with some things that we'll be adding to the mix, including a new dimension of challenge with Night March, a new defensive runner shell Sentinel, new weapons and equipment, a revamp on how you acquire runner shell stats to give you more options with the Cradle, and increased progression rates for faction and runner levels. Okay. Beyond Season 2, we're working on some interesting ideas that will help escalate the game and bring new areas of Tau Ceti to life. As we develop this new content, we're focusing on how we bring new and interesting challenges to the game for both veterans and newcomers alike. Just a note, these ideas are in development, and so in the interest of transparency, we're going to enumerate them below, but they'll likely take better shape and change as we learn more over Season 2. So this is the Sentinel shell. It's supposed to be defensive based. You can see the packs on here. See the plus on them. Maybe this is some sort of like shield or something that's going on there. The Destroyer shell does have like the really big standing shield, so I'm curious to see what Sentinel actually does that either increases defense or what that looks like. I'm curious if it'll end up becoming something kind of like Destiny 2 where Titans have barricades. Even though Destroyer has technically a portable barricade, I wonder if the Sentinel is going to be able to do something like, post up barricades in different locations, box you in so that, people can't get into you. I wonder if it's going to be something like the bubble grenades that they have. Like, I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what's going on with Sentinel. All right. A new zone that leans more into alien elements and mind warping debuffs. I wonder if they're gonna go more into the anomaly stuff here. New enemies from Tau Ceti and beyond, big and small alike. Oh, okay. And beyond. Interesting. New weapons that fill out the battery side of the arsenal. Okay. Some more Volt style weapons, I guess. New ways to exfil that create interesting trade-offs between how much loot you carry versus how safe they are. Interesting. So right now, currently, we have guarded exfils. You have the exfils and cryo that require certain key cards, I think, to activate, or certain, yeah, I believe it's certain cards. And then you have just regular exfils where you activate and just wait to exfil. So really curious to see what that's going to look like. We're also dedicating a strong effort to smoothing out the experience and solving issues we already see, as well as any new issues that arise in a quick and responsive manner. This includes not only balance changes and improvements to the user experience, but also ensuring that you can find good value in playing as little as well as playing a lot. Okay. And that you can better find the right challenges for your gear and skill level as you grow in the game. In Season 2, we'll be adding a duos rotating zone queue. In Season 2, we'll be adding a new matchmaking system that helps players find better quality matches with more flex for higher end players. In Season 2, we'll be expanding the max size of your vault. For Season 2 and beyond, we're working on a set of UX improvements to help make setting goals and getting to a match smoother. For Season 3 and beyond, we're working on improving our onboarding experience to make it less overwhelming for new players. All right, cool. And for Season 3 and beyond, we'll be making changes to the contract system to improve how you interact with Priority and other contracts. Interesting. Don't really have a problem with the contract system right now. It kind of reminds me of bounties from Destiny 2, but curious to see what's going to be happening there. More options to chill and new survival experiences. The second theme is about how we want to evolve Marathon as a whole to be an experience where you can find more novel ways to play when you're stressed out from a nail-biting run and just need to cool off or have fun without the stress. Options where you can go full sweat or lean back and chill. This means new ways to play that accommodate different friend groups, moods, and time availability to allow you to experience the thrilling survival of Tau Ceti in the way that fits your needs. In Season 2, we'll be experimenting with two modes, one at the beginning of the season and one towards the latter half of the season. The experimental mode at the beginning of the season will focus more on PvE, let's go, but with a light touch of PvP. The second experimental mode will be a PvE only experience mode that's focused on crews being tasked with completing objectives together and making some progress across matches. Thank you, freaking thank you, Bungie. That's all I wanted. I just wanted this, you know, especially with all the freaking lore that Marathon has across its older games. This game was made for PvE. Like, in my personal opinion, like that universe, you need a PvE mode. We'll continue to run experimental queues beyond these two offerings for Season 2 and beyond, testing the waters around other mechanics, such as perhaps a more purely PvP focused mode, interesting, with the potential for these to become part of the core game loop or permanent new ways to play. I'm down. And honestly, like, I mean, the initial vision for Marathon was to be something more akin to the extraction shooter, but honestly, that it's just a piece of a game. And this, when we get all this stuff, that's when the game will actually be complete, in my opinion. And it's no shade, it's no shade at all, but especially with the universe that Marathon has, this is something that the game needs. So I'm really looking forward to this shit. Big things coming down the line. So with all this talk about the future, let's wrap up with this one last reflection on this year-long journey we were going to take together. Fire. Now and after. If this were a recording, this is where I'd pause the music to bring my hands together and stare thoughtfully off into the distance. I'd begin to say something and then probably stop myself and take a few deep breaths before continuing. Today, we're approaching the end of Season 1, but our eyes are on the road from here beyond 2026 and into 2027, and our hands are working to pave that road as we speak. The journey ahead is one that will see the game expand in scope, depth, and breadth of what it has been for Season 1. All in the interest of bringing life to the vibrancy and passion that we have as a team for sharing our love of survival challenges with you all. To look more directly at our plans and goals for the next year, Season 2 is on the horizon, and we'll be sowing the seeds for a lot of our future plans via new content such as Sentinel and Nightmare systems, and experiments around new play modes that may become permanent in the future. Season 3, we're planning to introduce a lot, and I mean a lot of revisions to our early experience, including big updates to Perimeter alongside a new runner shell and additional content. Okay. All right, so we getting 2 seasons back to back. We're getting a new runner, and I'm curious to see what's going to be happening with Perimeter as far, and as well the revisions to the early experience, because in all honesty, not much has changed. I was able to get into the I believe it was the alpha for Marathon. Not a lot has changed from the early version of the game, so I'm really curious to see what this is going to be. That could also just mean new player experience. Season 4, we're focusing on building more depth into the existing extraction loop. Okay. Season 5, we're looking at bringing the whole ecosystem of PvE to play together and evolving our weird sci-fi world in new ways. For those of you who have joined us on this journey, we want to thank you. Your feedback, your endless support, and your passion have become the echoing chant that fuels us to conjure new ideas, create new solutions to problems, and have fun doing it. We're excited for you to join us as we grow this game around you and the community that you've created. For those of you who may be on the fence about whether or not we're the right game for you, thank you as well. We're excited to welcome you when you're ready to take the dive, so keep checking back in with us as we walk this journey, and if you get the itch, we'll be more than happy to have you. All right, this is where I hit the stop button. I've written a lot of words. Time to get back to work and turn those words into releases. Thank you infinitely, Joe. Man, that was... I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot. A lot of good stuff to look forward to, especially with the PvE. Like, the biggest thing for me is the PvE stuff. When Marathon was initially announced and there was that initial trailer, I was so freaking hyped to see like what the story was going to be, how they were going to execute that. I wanted to be in that world. I wanted to experience Marathon, like a new version, like this generation's version of Marathon. And I never played the original 90s games, so I'm unfamiliar with that. Like, I've seen some videos here and there, especially like videos from Bife on the lore of Marathon, and it's sick. It is sick. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to get into that, and especially with the aesthetic of Marathon, just something that it's so cool. It's so unique. Like, I really wanted to get into that universe. So the fact that they're finally going to be expanding more on the PvP or PvE aspects of it is something that I'm really excited about. What I mentioned earlier about some of the things that they're going to be, revising that might not feel as much as a player. The reason I say that is because of my experience with Destiny in the past, and essentially as time goes on, when you get more comfortable with the game, getting things like new weapons might not, or rather getting things like new modifications and upgrades might not seem as much of a difference while you're playing, because the current progression system that we have now has us going through the different factions to try to get more abilities. For example, going through your Mida faction so you can increase your mobility. So you can max that out so then you can feel, what you should be feeling as a maxed out runner in your different runs. After a while, once you get to that point, not much changes for a while. So when I say that not much is going to change as far as the experience for a player, that's what I mean. Like, kind of when you get to that point where you have those upgrades and you're in that part of the season where you're kind of just maxed out on certain things, not everybody's necessarily going to feel that, also because a lot of people might not have the time to play it. And I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing with progression as far as experience, because if you're able to play a lot, you get into the gameplay loop, you max out your stats on your runner, and you get to that point where your runner feels what it feels like, not much is going to feel like a significant change other than different shells and different weapons, in my opinion. But if you're somebody that doesn't get to play as often, you don't have as much time, you don't get to level up, you don't get to do these upgrades for your different factions that allow you to have these abilities. You don't get the upgrade to melee damage, you don't get the mobility upgrades. So that sucks for people that don't really get to play as often. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to be doing as far as progression is concerned too, and it's something that I'm excited about. Overall, I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to what's coming in the future with Marathon. Bungie's gone through it, man. Like, they really, really have. And on the one side, I can't imagine what it must be like to be a dev, having to deal with higher ups that are completely disconnected from what the vision of the game was initially to what it ended up becoming, to having to deal with seeing things a certain way, wanting to do things a certain way, and then being completely derailed. Bungie has been through a lot as a studio, and shout outs to the devs that have been working tirelessly, have been dealing with the feedback, both positive and negative, but dealing with the negative feedback about everything that's been happening with Bungie. So all you devs, shouts to you, because especially with Marathon, something that's been super refreshing has been the constant communication from Joe outlining, hey, we see this issue, this is what we're going to do to fix it. Hey, we see that this is a problem, this is what we're going to do to fix it. And seeing that type of communication for a game is really awesome. Like, it makes me want to keep coming back to play. The other thing, like I said earlier towards the beginning of the video, not everybody's going to have the time, right? And not everybody's a streamer. So I'm curious to see, like I said, ultimately for me, the biggest things that I'm looking forward to the most are progression and the PvE aspect. I need more lore. I need more cutscenes. I need more. Okay? Let me get that. Because there's so much there. There's so much there that they can do. But above everything else, all this stuff gets me hyped for season 2. But I also want to remind folks, be patient. Be patient. Bungie as a studio is working on 2 live service games at the same time. I don't even want to know how difficult that is. I don't. It's different from like a single player experience. Something like God of War. God of War, they developed it. You have your single player experience. They push it. They finish it. It goes out. You get to play the whole game, experience it, enjoy it, and you're done. Live service games don't have that luxury. And I feel as part of the Bungie community, we need more patience. A lot of people might not agree with me, but I think that patience can help us get a better experience as a whole, and it can also help the devs. And I have a lot of empathy for them, because being under that type of pressure and then having to deal with the community when they're being hyper negative, it's rough. So that being said, thank you for the communication. Shouts to the devs. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that are wrong with, between Destiny and things that are up with Marathon, but they're working on it. So I just want to remind the community, please be patient. I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like that can stem off into a whole other topic. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm excited for what's coming, especially for Marathon. Let them cook. Let them do their thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I can't wait to keep playing more. So yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this video. This is my first video on this channel in a really, really, really long time. So I would appreciate it if you dropped a comment, hit me with a little like, you know what I'm saying? And subscribe to your boy if you enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing more content in the future. I'm looking to do more videos like this. Maybe not as long as this one, but more videos where we're kind of just going over the messaging from Bungie, whether it be for Marathon or for Destiny. talking about those two games respectively, as well as streaming. I'm gonna try to get back into streaming on Twitch, and once I figure out the YouTube side of it, I'm gonna try to get into that as well. So twitch.tv/Infinite King is my channel, so go check me out over there. I still have some older streams from a few years ago, but I'm gonna be getting back into that, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, thank you so much. If you hung out with me and you got to this part of the video, I really do appreciate you. It means the world to me. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and tell somebody that you care about that you love them, because tomorrow ain't guaranteed, but today will be hype. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.